Assalamu alaikum means peace be unto you. First of all, on behalf of the Board of Directors and the staff of Action Community Development Corporation, Action, you see the material, stands for accepting challenges to improve our nation. And our motto is improving our nation one neighborhood at a time. People are very excited since we have had the opportunity to elect our first black president. And many of us, too many intelligent people sit around here waiting for stimulus money to come down the pipe. When out of that $700 million stimulus package, only 6% of it's been spent anyway. The truth of the matter is that no benevolent president in the White House, Democrat or Republican Congress, good fella down at City Hall, State House, Governor's House, is going to change the condition of our community unless and until we decide to change our own community. Meaning we have to accept responsibility for ourselves, and once we accept responsibility for ourselves, the help will come. That is to say this. This is a great community, Third Ward and the greater Third Ward, as you go out McGregor and Riverside, and all of that area, OST Griggs. Beautiful neighborhood, beautiful neighbors, beautiful people. But the inner city, the inner loop of Houston, have been abandoned about 35 years ago, when everyone decided they wanted to live out in the suburbs, as the highway builders began to build the highways out, starting with the Gulf Freeway in 1948, 59, I-10, 290, you name it. They built the loops, they built the Beltway, they're building the Grand Parkway now, and the growth is going out, meaning your public infrastructure dollars are going out, and whenever public infrastructure dollars go out, private investment follows, or private investments promise to build or to do will cause public infrastructure dollars to go out. In the meantime, the least, the last, the lost, the locked out, the left behind, were left behind inside the inner loop. Business people, well, like my neighbor who owns a car wash, my man Kurt the record man, who's, if any of you sisters, I want you to get his card, because if you ever break down, Kurt will come and pick you up, and he's not a creep, and he's not going to let anything happen to you. He will make sure that you're taken care of if you break down in the middle of the night. Make sure you get Kurt's card. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like Zanetta Burney, Judge Zanetta Burney, lawyer, attorney Zanetta Burney. She's been everything up in this Third Ward area all of these years. Bob Ford from Texas Southern University, Dr. Ford, he's with TSU. And all of you who are here today know that the inner loop had been abandoned. And we were left behind, and this was called a city under siege. Those of you who remember in the 80s, Fox 26 had their program out, City Under Siege, and it featured, if it leads, if it bleeds, it leads. They would show you all the crime stories and what the police were doing. We were left behind with crumbling infrastructure, unsustainable lifestyles, crime, and poverty. And our schools were failing, and all those things were failing. Well, in 1992, a decision was made down at City Hall to say they wanted to make the inner loop as attractive as the outer loop. But by that time, most of, if not all of our middle class had moved out to the suburbs, to gone to Sugar Land and gone to Missouri City and gone to these other places, out I-10 and up north and up 1960. We left the inner city, and now the biggest fight that's taking place is who will control the dirt in the inner city. I hate to be so heavy while you're eating, but I ain't heavy, I'm just your brother. But the truth of the matter is that when they decided to take 25% of Metro's 1-cent sales tax when you buy that Milky Way bar, and they built infrastructure inside the inner city so that you and I would have, leading with our baseball stadiums, our basketball stadium, the convention center hotel was built. There was an expansion of the George R. Brown Convention Center. All of the downtown infrastructure and capacity was built so that now we can build these large condominiums and lofts. And all the time while you and I were sleeping, as the scriptures say, while men slept, enemy came and sowed seed tares among the wheat. So now we find we have a city that didn't want zoning. We got scared out of voting for zoning, and I think that it was very wise because it would have created a level of bureaucracy that would have just frustrated us again. However, we had no land control levers or rules that we knew by to play by. All we had were deed restrictions. And when we left, and when our communities began to fail, and those who didn't want Mama's house, that went out to Sugar Land and went out to the other places, our deed restrictions became unenforced and unenforceable. And then once we lost the land use mechanism and the deed restrictions, restrictive covenants, then people came in and started building condominiums where there were single family houses, and now you've seen your property values go up and you can't control them. And the biggest loss of land is not the eminent domain with the rail coming in or eminent domain from the city or the county. The biggest loss of land in our community now is from tax foreclosures every first Tuesday of the month. So we at Action CDC decided that we was going to sink our bucket, as Booker T. Washington says, sink your bucket where you are. And we decided that what we were going to do is take Old Spanish Trail, a little section of it from Cullen to Calhoun, and that we were going to develop that as a model of how we could pool our resources and do something for ourselves. The Granada on Old Spanish Trail, it sits on 2.3 acres of land. That's right there. Y'all know where it's at, right by the Whataburger. You know where the Whataburger is, Kurt. I seen you over there. It's right there by the Whataburger, on a very strange piece of property that's like a triangle. But on that, our first plan was to build this mixed-use building, which is parallel with Old Spanish Trail, that has 7,000 square feet of commercial retail space and another 20 market and affordable housing apartments, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments over it. Why mixed use? Because we have this city and suburbs that are unsustainable in its urban design. Meaning this, that you have the school over here, you got housing over here, you got your business park over here, you got your mall over here, and sometimes your house can be a fence, just on the fence line of the mall, but you got to get in your car and drive out to the street to get to the mall. That makes no sense. We used to walk to the corner store. We call it the corner store. We used to walk to the corner store. We don't even walk anywhere anymore. That's why in some cases we're very obese, because we don't get any exercise. We live in our cars now. So we got to build those things that we can go to where we live. We have to have walkable communities. That's number one. We've got to learn how to build dense, because it's through density that we can get more bang for the buck. So you have mixed use, and we have to have mixed income. We cannot put all poor people in one place and then segregate them from the working class or the middle class. That's concentrating poverty. I had choices in my life. I could either be a pimp, pusher, hustler, or I could be a preacher, a politician, or it might be anyway. But a preacher, a politician, businessman, those kind of things. When I grew up in New York, I had choices in my neighborhood, and I think our children need choices. And we need to have affordable housing that's close to the bus line, so it's transit-oriented development. And also, this is built according to LEED certification, meaning leadership and energy efficiency design. We're building this so that it's green. So all of the elements of being walkable, of being dense, of being mixed use, of being mixed income, of being eco-friendly, is what we're trying to do. But more importantly, we're trying to set a model so that we can say that we did this. This is no design that comes from outer space. Didn't no French architect come here. Didn't no big-time architect from New York or Miami or California come here. This comes out of your brothers and sisters' head right here. We told the architect how we wanted it and what we were going to do based upon our research so that we can set a new paradigm of development in our community. I'm not interested in building no vertical trailers, no trash, nothing with my name is ever going to be built raggedy that takes away from the community. In fact, the subdivision next to us wouldn't put up with anything but good design. So our job with this Granada of Old Spanish Trail is to set a new framework of how we can develop in the inner city and compete. Lastly, across the street, we don't have our illustration of it. We're attempting across the street on the northern side of Old Spanish Trail, where the old McGregor Bank, Omni Bank drive-thru is, to put up a 10,000 square foot cancer treatment center. Many of you know the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan suffered from prostate cancer, and we know that black men in particular suffer disproportionately from prostate cancer. We also know that that census tract is a medical